Thanks for joining, everyone. We're super excited about this webinar. My name is Rushi Shah, and I'm Director of Product Management here at YCharts, and I've had the pleasure of leading many of our product initiatives, including integrations with some of our phenomenal partners like Addepar, the one we have today. And I'm joined today by Blake Rose at Addepar. So Blake, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Be happy to. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. I appreciate the time today. Really excited to talk a little bit about the integration. I started at Addepar back in 2018 on the business development team and previously built and helped sell a company called Emodemy, which was one of the first robo-advisory tools in the RIA space. And so spent some time on the business development team covering a variety of verticals, and actually came over to the partnerships team at Addepar a few years ago, where I met Rushi many times at various industry conferences, which is when we first started to put our heads together and collaborate, and really learned that there were a lot of mutual customers using the app, and that's how the integration incepted. So really excited to show that today and appreciate your time.
Thanks, Blake. Yeah, it's been a great partnership so far. And today we're excited to talk about the integration, about our platforms, and also how you can find portfolio opportunities in volatile markets. Before I get started, a few housekeeping items for today. Recording of this webinar will be sent to everyone tomorrow. So that'll be available as a replay. It'll also be available on the YCharts YouTube channel. So go ahead and head to that YouTube channel, like and subscribe. We have a lot of great content there, including our webinars. So feel free to check that out. Also, you'll notice that there's a Q&A section at the bottom or in your Zoom settings. So you can submit questions throughout the webinar live to us. We'll try and get to them throughout the webinar, but if we don't, we also have a Q&A section at the end. And if we don't get to them at the end, then our support contact will reach out to you as well to get you that answer. So with that, let's get started. So today's agenda, like I mentioned, we're going to start off by just giving a quick high-level overview on Addepar and then on YCharts as well. We'll jump into Blake's demonstration of Addepar, and then we'll go into the integration itself and show how that integration works. And lastly, we'll show what happens once you get that great data from Addepar into YCharts and what you could do in these volatile times. Lastly, we'll end with some Q&A and wrap up with that. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Blake to give an intro on Addepar.
Thank you, Rushi. And I always like to start with just kind of the business framing. So, who is Addepar? Why was it built? About 10 to 12 years ago, the founders realized that disparate data across a variety of sources, specifically for our founder's family office, was just difficult to bring into a singular solution. And having a background in big data, having built and found Palantir as well, they thought that there was a better option. So that was really the inception of Addepar. The thought is that if you build technology for a single family office that might be investing in a variety of asset classes, there's likely a great chance you could scale that to registered investment advisors, private banks, and other verticals as well, to really provide a real-time response to client demand. So there's a lot of volatility in the market. That's the theme of the webinar. I was at a conference last week, and a lot of advisors were talking, there's nowhere to hide. Well, given that's the case, then what can we do about it? Well, we can communicate with clients, we can be proactive, we can use great tools like YCharts to do research and understand what's happening in the market. And we can really invest in systems that differentiate our practice. And so that's what you're seeing here in terms of the why. Then next slide, please. And that introduces the Addepar solution, right? So given the fact that there are a variety of legacy systems out there that might not be meeting advisor demands to have their pulse on, all the assets that are being invested across various, legal entities that might be owned, or various banks that these assets might be custodied, having that singular spot is where Addepar emerged. About a year ago, we made an acquisition of Advisor Peak, which is a trading tool. So it's Addepar's in-house trading application. And so you're seeing that here in the middle. And earlier last year, we acquired a company called Navigator, which is a forward-thinking portfolio and projections tool. A lot of the clients that use Addepar tend to have an interest in alternatives. I know that they're continuing to grow amongst the RIA space, and so being able to project out future cash flows. We always say that Addepar was the rear view mirror, and then Navigator is the front windshield, right? So just in summary, Addepar's core business is data aggregation, bringing in accounts from Schwab, Fidelity, and hundreds of others of custodians that might be held away, giving you as an advisor a central tool to slice and dice that information, understand trends, bill your clients, do trading and dashboard information. And then finally, we have a marketplace as well, giving our advisors a chance to transact into pre-IPO companies, alternative positions, and a variety of unique products there. So it's specifically an alternatives marketplace at this juncture at no cost to our clients. So this is just a bit of an overview of the stack. If you go to the next slide here, you can see a little bit about our growth. So as I mentioned, I joined the firm right when I remember the firm was right around 1 trillion in assets. So the growth has been significant. I think we're adding about $15 billion per week and really hiring a lot of folks to help us deliver on our mission, which is to really maximize the value of the world's capital, right? Optimized on Addepar. So we believe that as the bigger pensions, endowments, and other applications start to adopt better technology, the world in correspondence can become a better place as well, because we're making better decisions. We work with hundreds of RIAs that make decisions on behalf of their clients every day. And we continue to really listen to our clients as a differentiator and deploy their feedback into the code on a monthly cadence. Go to the next slide, please. So I want to talk a little bit about why now. I've mentioned this before, but there's nowhere to hide. And our platform is really spitting out data that justifies that. So clients are using the application a lot more this year. We believe that that's a result of market volatility and the need to create proactive reports, dashboards, client portals that can be distributed out to cell phones or mobile applications to really interact and engage with clients. So we're seeing thousands of new views and dashboards every single day, 300% year-over-year increase. And we really believe that the Amazonification effect is here. So advisors need to tell a story, they need data at their fingertips, and they need to communicate with clients now more than ever. And so I think this is very timely, just given the current volatile market conversations. We actually see as volatility increases, new customers start to reach out more and more. So our sales efforts have actually, risen given the volatility just because of that need. Next slide. This is just a quick snapshot by the numbers here. I've just got a couple more slides and then I'll hand it to Rushi and then we'll get into the demo, which I think is what everybody's excited to see. So Addepar as a business, we have about $4 trillion on the platform. We process over 5.5 million accounts per day, and that's 2.5 billion in transactions. So I mentioned we've done a lot of hiring. A lot of that is just to deal with this data gravity. Having data at this scale requires a lot of orchestration and optimization. We use Amazon Web Services, so everything is cloud-based, and we're just dealing with a lot of data and an increase in usage. So we're continuing to hire, we're continuing to grow, and then the most exciting thing that I think our product team would announce is that the software is available 99.9% of the time. So having that high level of service to our customers when they need us most is extremely important to us. Next slide. This is how I would like to describe the marketecture slide. So, really who is Addepar? How are we built? So if you follow me on this screen and start at the bottom, primarily Addepar is a data company. So we're bringing in information from Goldman Sachs, from Schwab, Fidelity, hundreds of other institutions. We bring in market data from Morningstar, ICE, Six Financial. We bring it in one spot, one cloud-based spot where you can log in one time and have your pulse on the entire, cadence of your business. That information then flows up what we call our financial graph. So we have a patent on this. This allows you to really see all of your assets in a unique way and be able to group and report on that information, whether it's a legal entity, an account, a position. You can put any level on top of each other and create really dynamic reporting. And I'll show you that in the demonstration. And then we have our proprietary calculation engine. So really we're following the data. We get the data from the banks, we reconcile, we verify it, we overlay it with market data, and then it's ready for compute, and we push it out to the different modules. So if you work left to right on this screen, culminating with our integration center, which is where I'm going to hand it to Rushi, who built on top of this data architecture, we provide that analytics and reporting, the rebalancer, the billing, everything is API driven at Addepar, meaning that if you want to connect our application to great third-party vendors like YCharts, you no longer, if you're an Addepar customer, have to go manually input your positions or accounts, because they're able to just extract that information dynamically. So when I met with Rushi for the first time, we looked at our developer portal. We were able to discuss the API routes that made the most sense for mutual customers. And then as a result, they were able to build to that modern infrastructure. Now, as a client, all you have to do is go to the YCharts page, log in, and you're going to get all of the data that you have permission to. So Rushi will cover that. But this is really the final slide here for me, which is that we're excited to announce that YCharts has recently, joined our alliances program, where they have a listing in our partner storefront, our ecosystem integration center is what we call it, where you can click in, learn how to set it up, look at additional resources, see screenshots and rich value proposition text. And so this is really the central source of truth. So this is integrations.addepar.com. If you're interested in learning more about the integration, you can also reach out to Rushi or myself. And with that being said, I would like to hand it to Rushi to discuss more about the YCharts features and benefits.
Yeah, thanks, Blake. That was a great overview of Addepar, and I wanted to spend a minute or two on YCharts as well. So if you're not familiar with YCharts, we fit into that workflow that Blake just mentioned really well, and also in a lot of registered investment advisors' workflows, because we are an investment research platform that enables smarter investment decisions and helps with client communication. People love our software because it's very intuitive. It helps with a lot of workflows and saves you a lot of time. And the way we do that is we like explaining this in an iterative process. So the key benefits here are AUM growth, significant time savings, and better outcomes and client satisfaction. The way you can do that on YCharts is by starting with something like research and analysis, finding those new investments, being able to use our screening tool or our tables tool to view data extremely quickly and go through that data to find what you're looking for. Once you do that, you can really jump into that portfolio construction process, building out different types of portfolios, using YCharts as almost like a sandbox for different portfolio strategies, which is where this integration is huge, because you're able to use this integration with Addepar to pull in your portfolio accounts or different types of client data into YCharts to then see more data or allocation statistics or other types of capabilities once you get that portfolio into YCharts. We also have reporting capabilities if you're meeting with your clients, if you want to explain different things about their portfolio or about maybe a model portfolio that you're pitching to them. And you can also get really aligned with your client by using our side-by-side analysis or some of our tear sheets or other data-rich views within YCharts. And lastly is our market and portfolio monitoring. So really, we add a ton of value on our dashboard, our different market pages, our economic data. There's just a ton of data on YCharts around securities. It's really easy to navigate through and keep an eye on the markets. You can keep YCharts open on one of your monitors to see where the markets are, to see where your client holdings are, et cetera. So if one of your clients call you and ask you a question about their holding, you have all that data at your fingertips to answer their question. So just a great tool for that overall research, analysis, and client communication. What I wanted to do now is pass it back to Blake, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so Blake can share his, and we can jump right into the demonstration of both platforms.
Thank you, Rushi. Okay, so everybody should be able to see Blake Capital Partners in the background. Rushi, if you could just confirm.
Yeah, looks good.
Fantastic. So this is my fictitious RIA. If I ever ran one, this is a demo infrastructure. I'm a big golfer based out of Los Angeles now, originally from Ohio, as I mentioned at the top of the call. So I've got Pebble Beach here, but advisors use this to brand their firm however they'd like. And we use Amazon Web Services, so everything's cloud-based, meaning that as you're on the go or traveling in Europe, you can simply access all of your clients' information in real time on the fly. So when I log into the application first, just to keep, in terms of orientation, on the left-hand side is where you'll see all of the individual clients. So I'll kind of work from top down and then left to right. I'm in what we call the analysis module. So this is kind of the main advisor dashboard where a lot of our clients spend most of their time. And if I flip from Adam Smith to Alex Rogers as an example, you can see that both the visuals on the right-hand side and the tables update dynamically based on the client that I've selected. we also have a drop-down menu of a variety of views that come out of the box. So as just a simple example here, if I were to search for equity in all of the views, you'd see a view that might be more resonant to looking at an equity portfolio. So these views do come out of the box when you start with our application, but then you can certainly come in and customize them on the fly as well. So I'll show you how to create a view within the app, and then we'll talk a little bit about how the YCharts team is leveraging this information to extract the data across a variety of accounts and entities. And then in terms of just a broader picture of the rest of the application, if I were to tab left to right, you can see all of the individual transactions. You can actually create reports and rich, PDF statements. So this is a quick feel for the report writer. It's all point and click and very easy to work with. A lot of our clients love this because what they can do is create a very dynamic statement or market commentary out to 100 or 1,000 clients at once with one communication. So, right. So if I wanted to say, your performance this quarter, and then I type the equal sign, it's going to go out and pull the data from Adam Smith's portfolio for this time period. So this is, I guess, Q2 2020. And then I can type in time-weighted return. I'll just keep it simple and use time-weighted return in USD, although Addepar does support multi-currency. And you can see that Adam Smith for this time period, and recognize this is a little bit small, is 3.38%. And then when I flip this over once again to Alex Rogers, you can see this information dynamically updates. So not just the return metric here, but all the charts and visuals also. So we'll come back to this. Finally, we have a client portal, which is where our clients can, create custom dashboards and extend them out to their end investors. So here's a quick example of what this might look like. There's a two-way file sharing capability, so you can organize folders, share information like tax documents and reports and other important information to communicate out to your clients. So this is our client portal function, and advisors really control this. So if they'd like to share 10 dashboards or one, right? Because we always say client communication is really dependent on the receiver. And so we all know the clients that want the 25-page report. And I believe that there are a few that want to keep it simple. So Addepar is really a mechanism to help you scale your business and communicate the way your clients like to receive information. So just jotting back, right? We talked a little bit about the analysis module. I'm going to spend some more time here to talk a little bit about how advisors use this app on a day-to-day. We'll conclude with a quick look at the API documentation, which is what the YCharts team leveraged to pull out the information. And we're really going to try to just make this very simple. So if I click on Adam Smith here, and we're looking at what we call a basic allocation view, you'll see that this is broken down by a variety of different groupings and columns. So Addepar works very similar to a pivot table with their live market data injection. That's the way I always like to explain it. And so, for example, if I wanted to see all of the assets that Adam had across different banks, I'm adding in a grouping called custodian, pulling it up to the top, quickly hitting apply. And then when I run this, instead of organizing the information across a variety of asset classes, you'll now see Adam Smith's portfolio broken down by all of the institutions that he has assets with. Then we're looking at the grouping asset class. Inside asset class, we have 3M and Tesla, so position. And if I were to double click on 3M on the right-hand side here, you can see that it's connected to market data, and we're displaying automatically the asset class, the sub-asset class, and a variety of other information. But the most important thing to show here is that if clients, if advisors really believe that these asset classifications are, unique, or they may not agree on the way that they're labeling things. For example, historically, this advisor might have called this North America. And so it's very easy to then overwrite the data that comes from our partners like Morningstar, making it really easy for advisors to kind of control the narrative and label things the way that they'd like. This is just a quick high-level overview. We, as I've mentioned, support a variety of dashboards that come out of the box, from alternative investment views, which you can see here when you're looking at pacing schedules, so total commitments, paid in capital, unfunded commitments, etc., to equity views and multi-asset class views. But what I wanted to share here, just to conclude, is the YCharts integration view. So I'm going to flip over to that for Adam Smith. And then I'm going to come down to a different entity or grouping, and I'm going to select accounts and then pick on this Adam Smith 401k, which I believe is what Rushi is going to be sharing as well, just so you can see it on both sides of the coin. So just to pause here for a second, what are we looking at? If I click the edit pencil, you'll see that we've got a different set of groupings. So I'm looking at it just by the security, we're adding ticker symbol, value, and percentage of portfolio. As a reminder, within the Addepar application, you can come in here and I could type ISIN as an example. I could type time-weighted return or Sharpe ratio and start to really build this out dynamically. I'll keep it simple for now and just add a couple just to give you a feel for how the system operates. But then when I click apply and run, you can see that this data populates in real time. And because we're working in our demo environment, we don't have a match on ISIN, but that's okay. And really here, this is a chance to introduce the integration with YCharts. So if you're an advisor looking to pull in account data or legal entity or client data, it's really easy to do so. You actually don't have to build anything within the application because the YCharts team collaborated with us and built to our most updated infrastructure, which is what we call our query API. So just to simplify this, historically integrations with Addepar require you to come build a dashboard. So you'd build this exactly, and if this is what you'd want to show up in the YCharts app, there's a little button here which says access using View API. You click Generate API URL, and then that's exactly what it's going to do. So you can see at the top, each one of these screens, every time you click Save, so this is my YCharts integration view, has 7628.461. That's really just unique to this view. Once again, you won't have to do that because what Rushi and the technical team members at YCharts did is they built what we call a query API. And all that means, excuse me, so it looks like there's an unsupported attribute, so I should have left it alone. Let me just edit this real quick. I'm going to get rid of the Sharpe ratio. It is not exportable. Click run and then come back here again. So now when I click this, you can see how easy Addepar makes it to extract the information. So the technical team at YCharts likes this because they can say, instead of having a client have to go in and build a dashboard when they want to pull information over, we'll just pull the data from the back end and make it very easy. And Rushi will show you that. So all you need to do is log into your YCharts login. You'll be able to authenticate Addepar, and then the data will flow over exactly as you see it on the screen without you having to lift a finger or really do anything in Addepar. So that concludes my presentation, intentionally kind of high level. If you're interested in learning more about the application, please note we didn't cover the rebalancing tool, the marketplace, or the cash flow projections. This is really the main core Addepar, which is the most standard operating app, which is what the company started with. And once again, it's used for data aggregation, analytics, and reporting. And Rushi, if I could hand it over to you to talk about the awesome integration that you've built on top of our data aggregation tool, that would be great. And thank you everybody for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Blake. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen again. All right, Blake, are you able to see that? Cool. So Blake did a great job explaining how data can be very unique in Addepar. You could change your views, change your dashboards. And like Blake mentioned, we leveraged the query API within YCharts because we know how users want their data to look within YCharts, and we wanted it to fit so that it's extremely seamless for you to create portfolios within our tool. So if you're not familiar with YCharts, we have this data tab, and that really goes through all the different data types we have. And then we have the tools menu, which has all of our tools that our users love. If you're new to the integration and you want to get registered or connect Addepar and YCharts, you can hover over support and click on integrations, which is going to take you to our integrations page where you can go ahead and click on manage and activate. And we use OAuth to activate that integration. So it's very easy. It's a seamless login process where you'll be able to log into Addepar via this click, and then it just activates your status. So once that status is showing active, you can go into the model portfolios page, which is really where this integration works. In the top right, you'll notice it says import holdings. So any integration partner that you've connected to YCharts will show up here. So in this example, let's use Adam Smith again. I can click on Addepar, and if any of you have been using the integration, we actually made a great update where you can actually search by any of these. So originally, you were just able to search by group, and then you could also return all your clients, funds, legal entities, or accounts. Now you could search by any of them. So I'm just going to click on account, and I'm going to search Adam Smith. And like we saw within Addepar, I could click on that 401k account and click on import. You notice how quick this is. I immediately have that data from Addepar into YCharts in what we call our model portfolio editor. So this is really our portfolio creation page. And from here, you'll notice those 4 holdings and the current allocation weights to those holdings. We also fill in the account name, some descriptions. You can go ahead and change any of that data here. So if you want to change the name of it, if you're familiar with our editor, we've actually made some updates here too. So not only can you input data via the weight, but you could also input shares or dollars. If you have any cash allocation, you can actually add a cash allocation here as well, which is pretty cool. So once you go ahead and do that, you can hit save, and that's going to create this model portfolio within YCharts. For the sake of time, I already have the portfolio in my account, so I'm just going to toggle over to it. And you'll notice that this should look like any other security page on YCharts. So this is Adam Smith's portfolio with its current allocation. We have a ton of data on this portfolio right when you go ahead and create it. Things like asset allocation, performance and risk based on that allocation. You could toggle through these different tabs. So we have a holdings tab here where you'll see those 4 holdings, but you can also dig deeper and say, what's under the hood of these funds? What are my true allocations? If you click on that overlap tab, you'll be able to see, your biggest holding is Microsoft and you have about 2.8% within that stock. You can also click on the allocations tab, which shows you country exposures, sector exposures, market cap, style, all of that great data just to dig deeper into your portfolio. If you're interested in charting or making a visual, you could just click on one of these tabs. So this is a fundamental chart where you can have your portfolio versus any benchmark. You could add multiple portfolios here. You can spit this out to put into a presentation if you'd like. You can add your firm colors, add a title, all sorts of things here. You could also do that with the scatter plot. And lastly, the thing I'll touch on is ESG data here. So if you are into ESG and you want to take a look at your ESG statistics for your portfolio, you could do that here as well. For that client communication part, we also have a reporting tool. So if you're using Addepar's reports, you want to complement it with YCharts reports. We have all this great data that I just showed you within a clean PDF report here. Same thing, this can be firm branded. You can customize what modules you have within this report as well. What I wanted to show today is, in those volatile times, how can you find some opportunity and use YCharts to play around with this portfolio and see what changes you could potentially make. So I'm going to use this quick flows tab here to do that, which is a great workflow tool where you could type in any security and run through a one-click workflow throughout all the tools in YCharts. So right now I have my Adam Smith portfolio in here, and let's just say I want to take a look at my holdings. So I could go ahead and click on holdings trailing returns. This year's been quite the volatile year, so I want to take a look at my year-to-date total returns of my portfolio holdings. Looks like this VWO has been dragging down my portfolio the most. You could see that year-to-date total return. So let's do some analysis on maybe switching out that fund for another one. So I'm going to go back into this quick flows menu, and instead of that portfolio, I'm going to type in VWO. And now you'll notice some new quick flows here for this fund. And I could say, let's find a fund that's ranked in this category. So a fund that's ranked better, has been performing better based on its category. So immediately with one click, I'm in a new view of similar funds to VWO, but maybe ones that have done a bit better as of late. And I can continue my research as to why that's the case. So let's go ahead and grab some of these funds here. So I'm going to add in VWO, and let's throw in a few more of these tickers. All right, so now I'm going to use these comparison quick flows. And for this one, let's start with something like fundamentals. So you can click on any of these to go through that workflow. Let's start with fundamentals. Maybe you want to take a look at these 4 funds that are similar. Take a look at their PE ratio, the fund's price to book ratio, et cetera, and find something that's a little more attractive. You could also take a look at returns of these funds side by side, and then maybe you want to also look at risk. As you can see, as I click, I could see that data right away and compare and contrast these, see what's up or down the most year to date or 1 year, etc. Once I found one that I potentially want to take a look at, maybe you want to do some additional visuals here as well, or just swap out that fund into that portfolio. So what I've done is I've created this other model portfolio that is the same exact Adam Smith 401k, but instead of VWO, I've swapped it out for EELV. So now I could do a compare and contrast of this this portfolio versus the original one to see what changes have been made or to see what's going on. So going back to this quick flows menu, let's test these out side by side. So I have this current portfolio, and then I have their original one. And I can take a look at performance and pull these into a performance chart. So now I'm comparing the two. You could see already that performance benefit of having that other holding in here versus VWO. Maybe that's attractive to you, and you've found that EELV might be a better option for you. So now at this point, you're pretty confident. Maybe you want to jump through a couple other quick flows. Feel free to do that. Like our risk reward scatter plot's a great one, kind of a risk and return view all in one of those two portfolios to say, hey, this is less risk from a standard deviation perspective and also greater return. So this makes a ton of sense for me. I want to show this to my client and talk to them about why we're making that change. And that's kind of the last step here. So once you've done that, you want to spit this out into another report. Now I have a side-by-side of Adam's current portfolio of the proposed changes I want to make. I've tested them out. I have all this data within this report side by side. I could talk through the fact that we're not really changing your stock to bond allocation. We're sticking to your plan. However, we've made some changes that are going to help you out in the long run. So now you've done that, and you could start implementing that using Addepar. So I hope you see the value here of this integration where you're able to use YCharts for that research, for that workflow to find new investments in these volatile times. And then you could jump right back to Addepar with this portfolio and do some more analysis.
Rushi, can we perform a similar exercise with my 401k? This is brilliant. I need a little bit of help here. This is awesome.
Yeah, feel free to log in and get that in via Addepar if you want.
And I think this is like a really natural opportunity. So somebody was asking if they're if they're an Addepar customer, is there any discounting available for partner promotion and pricing?
There is actually, and I was going to just get to that. So glad you asked, Blake. So we have a 20% off discount for your new YChart subscription. So if you're an Addepar user, you're on this webinar, just mention the webinar and you'll get that discount, which is great if you want to use both tools together.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you for that. I know our clients will really be excited to leverage that, and especially given the volatile markets, the workflows that you've just showed were incredible. And like I said, I'd love to have this for my own portfolio as well. We've got another question here coming in regarding how does YCharts handle PII within the integration?
Yeah, that's a great question, Blake. So as you hopefully saw while I was pulling in the data, we do pull in that account name. However, we mask account numbers and we don't pull in any personal PII data from your Addepar account. We also don't store your login information for Addepar. So you notice that when I was explaining the login process, you're actually taken to Addepar to log in to activate the integration and then taken back to YCharts. So we don't have access to your login info, so it's extremely secure for your PII data.
Awesome. Thanks. And Rushi, I think there's one more question if you wanted to read that one for me.
Yeah, let me try.
I think it was about permissions and how they work within YCharts on the Addepar side. I can take this one. So the question is, how do permissions work within YCharts? And this is really a good thing to call out. So if you're an advisor and you have a book of business within the Addepar application, your firm administration or kind of firm admin gives you access to that. So if you're an RA with 200 clients and you manage 50 of them, and that's what you can see within the Addepar app, that permission would be respected within YCharts. So I know Rushi showed all of the various legal entities and accounts, but it would respect your user profile so that when you log into the application from a compliance perspective, you would only have access to what you can see within Addepar. So I hope that helps.
Awesome.
If there are any other questions, feel free to dump them into the Q&A. Otherwise, Rushi, if you want to provide some closing remarks. I think I don't see any yet, so maybe we'll give it another 20 seconds.
Sounds good.
All right, looks like there aren't any. If you do have questions, certainly you can reach out on the Q&A section here. So maybe Rushi, where's a good place for someone to learn more about YCharts?
Yeah, definitely. So a couple things, like I mentioned, we do have that 20% off your subscription. If you want to check it out, just go ahead and go to YCharts.com. It's super easy to start your free trial. We have a chat box there. We have people that can help you get more information. If you want to set up a demonstration, someone can run through some of these workflows like I showed you and really show you the platform and how it can help your firm. So feel free to check that out. Like I also mentioned, we are going to have a recording sent to you. So if you would like to, take a look at that recording again, feel free to subscribe to our page and view all of those webinars as well. But I think that's it, Blake. So thanks again for joining today, Blake. It was great having you on the call here to talk through this new integration. We are super excited about it, and I hope you are too. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.